Before the pandemic, the San Antonio International Airport was taking in about 10.3 million passengers a year. During this time of the year, they would typically see about 16,000 passengers a day. Now, on average, only 700 passengers are using the airport each day. So how does the airport stay open and cover operating costs? They've had to get creative, changing job titles, cutting some projects and putting others on hold. But some projects are still being pushed forward.
Some basic changes to reduce airport expenditures, closing some bathrooms and roping off some seating that won't have to be cleaned every day with high-grade products, and keeping as much staff as possible by moving them around.
Redeploying some staff that typically don't do janitorial type cleaning.
Airport Chief Administration Officer Mookie Patel says there are 5 non-mandatory maintenance projects being canceled. Then there are about 20 projects, $16 million worth, that will eventually happen but are on hold, including 2 gate projects and badge and ID office expansions. But Patel says some airport projects must continue.
One being airfield projects, taxiway runway improvement projects. Those are federally funded. So really, of a 100% project, 75% comes from the federal government. There's safety and security related projects like a perimeter fence project.
One project that will continue in a more segmented way is the airport's largest, the Strategic Development or Master Plan, an airport transformation meant to last 20 to 30 years. There are 3 phases: landside, things like roadways and parking; terminal, which includes gate, restrooms, and restaurants; and then the airfield. All will be slowed down eventually by the community input component mandated by the FAA, almost all of which has been done in person.
Could you maybe just pivot to only online?
We could. We're going to take the pulse of our council and direction from our city leaders of what representation, what their representatives feel that needs to happen.
The airfield will slow the most since it's the furthest along and ready for input.
There needs to be outreach related to how the airfield will operate, which runways, where they will go in the future, and how aircraft will operate on those facilities.
Other phases need more work before community input, but will continue at a slower pace. For terminal, they're still studying passenger numbers, and for landside, they're still calculating use of roadways, parking, and curbside needs. But it's tough to count increases in passengers or rideshare users when the airport is basically empty.
The master plan won't necessarily need to be rewritten. We'll just follow a different trajectory for a period of time.
A lot's up in the air, but Patel believes the airport will bounce back after the pandemic.
And Patel says a lot of the progress also depends on federal, state, and local funding over the next 4 or 5 years. But just this week, the airport received $39.7 million as part of the federal CARES Act. That money will be used for debt payments to keep the facility running, paying utilities, payroll, and part of the master plan. The federal government was already paying for 75% of the master plan, and now the CARES grant is covering the rest.